Welcome back, everyone. This is the Prodigal Son of Sony speaking, and I'm here with more Castlevania 4. And let us begin our adventure into horror. First, just let me turn that down a tad. There we go. I'm afraid I have a neighbor outside who's doing some yard work, so I might have to yell over this if I can't hear myself thinking. So anyway, as we left off, we're on what is the equivalent of level 4? And Die Goblin. Oh, do I have to turn the volume up now? Ladies and gentlemen, I just can't make up my mind. But, oh, those things. There, hit him. Ooh. I guess that's tricky enemy placement if you don't expect that. Of course, it all depends on if you're jumping there or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think what I would like to talk about this time, because something I didn't mention in my previous video, is... maybe I just black up. Okay. The difficulty... or, I'm sorry, certain aspects of this game that I don't like. First off, that... bullshit, that. Those are two things. Alright, so, I might as well start with that. I feel like, just as of any other Castlevania game, the platforming can be a little, finicky, or, deceiving. Sure, you know, if you do make a mistake, you probably be smarter next time to deal with it. But sometimes, like, with these, if you don't react fast enough, you're gonna fall. And I think for some people that could be a problem. When I first started playing this game, I knew it was a big difficulty for me. So, yeah, like, for this, if you don't do well on this part right here that you see, you're gonna die, and there's nothing you can do about it. It wouldn't be so bad if there's a platform underneath, but no, this is kind of ridiculous. Do we really need that? And that, see like that! It must be, if you pick up the item, if you pick up the item, like, there's a momentary, frame loss? I don't know, but personally, I feel that's just bad design. There are some other instances in the game that are like that. For example, if you recall in previous Castlevania games where you have the spiked ceilings that drop down on you, this game, well, in part 3 you can jump on them, but in part 4 you can have them go up to the ceiling and you don't know whether or not they'll crush you, or if you can, you know, go through. I swear to God, I tried to do that. My controller stuck. I apologize if I'm boring you. But moving on. Another big problem is actually the whip. I find that if you're standing and you're trying to shoot the whip up in a diagonal direction, unless if you really, really concentrate on it and hold straight down on the button, it will be difficult to do it. Instead, you'll get something like that. That could happen. The same goes as when you're jumping, and I think it's more difficult because you are jumping. So you only have so much time. So let's see if I can do this again. Made it that time. Fuck you, game. I think I started to mention enemies or enemy placement. Sometimes I think it's purposeful. Or hold on, I'll get back to it after this boss. Oh Lord, it's a skull with. This is a really cheap boss. Although there do seem to be safe zones or not. Oh, there we go. I really don't know what to say about that boss fight. Oh, this is one of those things I was telling you about, the new mechanics, or just one of the little gags. You see, this is really good. See? The room is spinning. Now, I personally don't know how they did that. I mean, I just think it looks really cool. So, yeah, now you've got your fill of this wondrous thing I gotta get off. Enemies. Well, obviously, you know, Medusa heads are always this shit. And, you know, things like that. When you're doing the little dangly-do with the whip, it does less damage, and I don't understand why it does that. But at certain levels, even at the beginning of the game, enemies can be placed in very frustrating places or areas that could just, you know, just kill you right away. It's kind of inane and non-purposeful. And the last thing I would like to mention is, as much as I'm loath to admit it, I do have to agree with Ego-Raptor to an extent where the items, as a, compared to previous games, have become marginalized. They do fix some bloodlines and somewhat something But yes, I do feel like the weapons have become partially marginalized, unless of course if you get, say, like it's retarded. The triple shot Stegarang, because that just kills bosses. It's one of the best things you can get. Now, besides talking about, and this is another thing I want to mention about the game. Like, just look at this. It's really great. And the music changed, so I think we're on a new stage. I don't know. We didn't get the Orb of Valender yet. And here's another thing. I feel like this level is trying to break out all of the stops. Like, you've got intricate platforming now. These, I'm pretty sure you've seen this in, like, oh dear God, this is going to kill me and I'm gonna get game over. Well, where does it start me? Alright, I'm gonna speed up. And we're back. Now, I can't remember what my train of thought was before I left. I believe I was talking about, oh, I don't know what I was talking about, but anyway, the boss that's coming up is going to be very reminiscent of the boss we just fought, which is kind of stupid considering, but I digress. Anyway, while I was on break, I had this weird okay, first off, another thing I hate, we're adding this to the list. Simon moves way too slow in this game. In this part of the level, there's you know, basically this quote-unquote elevator that you can go up to, and you can go into these little alcoves to get, you know, power-ups and shit. But because he moves too slow, you can't get them because you have to make a full commitment going into the alcove to get the item in the first place. So, I've tried it before, it doesn't work. I'm just gonna do boring Simon way. If you think of this, is really painfully slow-paced. It just doesn't feel purposeful to me. Do I really have to wait through all this? Come on! At least when Yoshi's Island did shit like this, it felt good. Ugh. But, okay, so the existential question. This game, in the original Castlevania, I guess what really separated from other games in terms of platforming is that Simon felt like a real, you know, character. He was just a human guy, you know, a knight, sort of, but a strangely tired knight, but a knight nonetheless. And, you know, he felt more real than, say, characters like Link, because, you know, Link was just an elf, and if you've seen artwork of him, he's just like, whoa, I'm funny! And Samus, it's, you know, Metroid, that's... I'm not saying Metroid is not serious, and I'm not saying it's cartoony, but it feels less... There's less of a realism to it. Castlevania, on the other hand, had a better sense of realism because I think the art style and the sprite direction helps in a way. Because, you know, you had the skeletons and they didn't look like, you know, cartoon skeletons. They looked like, you know, something you could tear out of a human being, and that would be what's inside them. And, you know, some of the sprites could look pretty terrifying, like, the Phantom Bat, or the Medusa Head, or the Hunchback, and I'll get back to you on that. Existential Simon Belmont, got it. So this is the Stone Giant, or the Stone Golem, either one. He's a bitch of an itch because, like the previous boss, he's got the blocks that fall from the ceiling that you really don't have too much time to react to, or actually not enough time. There are some safe zones, like where I am now. Don't want to jinx it. And he's dead. So, back to Existential Simon. And by the way, this is actually one of my favorite bosses in the game. But yes, there's a realism to the game.